let's talk about one of the best bands in the rock industry right now, Nickelback. Yeah, I hear the booze, but I think everybody is a closeted Nickelback fan, and they just are afraid to admit it because, I don't know, because the social constructs tell them that they're not supposed to. Here's the deal. Nickelback started off on the tails of grunge, and they have now progressed into what they are today, which is a nice mix of grunge, alt rock, a little bit of metal, and like kind of country-ish twang. And I love them. I dig it. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that every song that they have is a slammer, but the majority of Nickelback I do like. I own their greatest hits. I own a couple other albums, and they dominate when they're on top. And I think it's just become a trend that people are just jumping on the bandwagon just because they can and they think it's fun and cool and whatever, just because Corey Taylor says that, they're the worst band in the world. And I don't exactly know why Corey Taylor became the authority on all, metal and rock music because, I mean, I don't know the guy personally, but the things that I've read about him and the way he kind of approaches topics and the way he says things, he seems like a bit of a clown. Like I said, I don't know the guy, but I'm not an outsider looking into what on surface level I see. I don't really think that I'd like him, but also it made me think since when are you the authority on who's good and who's not? Everyone's entitled to their opinion. I get that, but like it seems like okay. I feel like if Chad Kroeger had something to say and it was very popular, like a popular opinion, everyone would be like, Chad Kroeger, screw him, he's an idiot. Then Corey Taylor might say something completely far-fetched and asinine, and everyone's like, oh yeah, man, it's pretty cool, Corey Taylor said that. And it's like, what? I don't understand why people can't appreciate good things when they're good. And I mean, I'm not trying to be whatever, but I haven't liked a Slipknot album since Volume 3, and that's what, 2007, 8? I mean, we're talking a long time from now. And I was not the biggest fan of early Nickelback, but kind of around all the right reasons, I really started digging their stuff, and that album's awesome. The Long Road, awesome. Pretty much everything they've released since then has been really good. They kind of fell a little off with what's the one before Get Rolling? Anyway, whichever one that one is, it's the one that has We Must Stand Together. I can't remember the name of it. It's not terrible, but it's just not it's not the greatest. But then Get Rolling came out. I think it was this year last, whichever one. And there's definitely some like missed opportunities on certain songs, but I mean overall the album's good. And I mean it's not heavy really, except for a couple songs, but it is really good. And I'm not trying to be whatever, but Corey Taylor loves to just. I get it. He says things and they interview him and they release certain snippets of the thing. I get that. I'm not saying that he's in charge of whatever. I'm just saying that I think some people kind of like, for me, for instance, Alter Bridge is my band, so I feel like the best way I can describe this is, for me, it would be like if Miles Kennedy said something, and I'm like, yep, that's right, no matter what it would be. And I feel like a lot of people, kind of just blindly follow other people's opinions just because they like who it is or whatever. And, you see it in minuscule things like that, and, like the nobodies like us that are just kind of the everyday, we're not nobodies, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that, but the everyday workers that, keep the country running, but we have our own opinions and whatnot. And there's always the one guy that is, the boisterous prick who, oh, that's, you can't, that's Big Jim, and he's been around here for, blah, 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 who cares? But then I feel like it just goes to a wider scale whenever we talk about our heroes and our artists that we love and things like that. And I feel like a lot of times people don't really even have their own opinions on things because they'll say, well, uh, Bill Maher said this, and I'm just using him as an example. I love Bill Maher, so there's no shade thrown there, or Joe Rogan said this, and the same thing with Joe Rogan. But I feel like it's just kind of, you know, no one really has. I mean, people have their own opinions, but I feel like a lot of times whenever people back stuff up, and this is just how I feel. This isn't a fact or anything. I feel like people will just back stuff up with the opinions of what other people have said. So it's like, okay, well, why do you feel that way? And then it'll either like read up. It's like in Good Will Hunting, where the one where they're in the bar and Matt Damon is getting clowned by the one guy, but then he ends up finding out that the only thing Dean Winters. Um, is it Dean Winters? No, he's the guy from SVU. His brother, I can't remember his name, but the blonde. The blonde is trying to flirt with Minnie Driver, and he's saying all these things, trying to be cool, and then he gets called out for quoting a book that Matt Damon read, or an article, whatever. And I feel like we have a lot of that in our society. I feel like a lot of people will maybe not really be the authority on whatever it may be, but they've like read an article, so that makes them the authority on nuclear physics or whatever it may be. And people, instead of just like learning to shut their mouths, and me too, if I'm rambling off about crap, this is just, like I said, this is all just like random rants of things that I think, and I'm wanting to get off my chest, and it's just kind of like a video diary. So I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I know what I'm talking about, because in a lot of ways I don't. I can talk about music with you, and I will know what I'm talking about on that, and I can talk about like movies, but really outside of that, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and pretend I know quantum physics. I don't understand really anything about the the Amazon rainforest or anything like that. So I can't sit here and say whatever it is like as an absolute truth, because I don't know. I'm just speculating and taking guesses and giving an opinion based off of things that I think may be. But it's dangerous whenever it gets to a higher level, like when we're on politics and we're on different things like that, and people will gravitate towards people that they like, which there's nothing wrong with that, because we all do that as a society. And then, but the issue is whenever they gravitate towards those people and just blindly follow them because, hey, I like Renee Zellweger. Nothing wrong with Renee Zellweger. I'm just using her as an example. But it's like, okay, well, why do you agree with that thing she said? Well, because, and, we're allowed to have our own opinions. We're allowed to have our own thoughts, but we need to have our own opinions and our own thoughts. If you genuinely agree with somebody on something, that's one thing. But just when people blindly agree, like where I'm at, in my area, there's a lot of people that, and I see it a lot in younger kids, especially with their parents. And I'm not judging them because they are children, but obviously they want to make their parents proud. So their parents will like, okay, I'm going to vote for so-and-so. And then the kid's like, yeah, that's the best option for the president or governor or whatever because my dad said so. And I get that. But I feel like it kind of creates this little, I don't know, this growing thing in their head to where it's like they just start believing everything that they've been taught because that's how they were raised. And I don't feel like anybody has, I don't feel like most people have the independence to break out from that and say, oh, well, that's what it is. No, that's actually wrong or whatever. I was raised in a Republican household, and I am not a Republican. I have nothing against the Republican Party. I mean, like as a whole, I have nothing against the Democratic Party. But the point is, though, I am not a Republican because my parents were, or I'm not a Democrat because my parents were. I'm whatever I am because it's what I want to be, and I've researched it enough. I am it's that's what scares me, I guess, is because we're working towards a future where a lot of these things are based on feelings as opposed to facts, and that's probably where I'm going with this whole rant thing I'm doing, is because Bill Maher said it best. He says that the Democratic Party is no longer the party that is benefiting the seemingly hopeless and lifting up people from their bootstraps and helping them out. They are now the party of protecting feelings, and I believe that's the truth. And now I will also slam the other side for other reasons, but it's just a matter of I don't understand why we stick to these things. It's kind of like you're it'd be like, when you wake up and you're 5 years old and the teacher goes, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" "I want to be a fireman," and that's what you are. No matter what happens, that's what you are. You're a fireman the rest of your life, and it's like it doesn't make any sense, because there's no independence anymore. It seems it's just a big collaboration of people that are wanting not to unify. They're wanting to seem to like pick apart little things with everybody and find out the issues so they can fight on them. It's like it's like everyone needs their 5 seconds of fame, I guess, because oh, I'm not gonna somebody says something that's like, I'm a complete stranger and I need to run in there and tell them how I feel. No, you don't. You don't. You can have an opinion and think about it, but I mean, really, unless it benefits the greater good, there's no reason to just pick on somebody for the fact of picking on somebody, and no matter what it is, and like I said, it's just a never ending cycle of people that are constantly just trying to one up each other, and that seems to be the society we live in. And I'm just tired of it. I'm tired of it. The world needs to hit a joint and just mellow out, and we all need to work together and try to get this the way it needs to be. And I understand there's going to be people out there that you can't convince to do anything no matter what, because they're in their own mindset and they're set in their ways, and I get that. But I feel like there's enough of us that we can find common ground and really just do something positive. Just bring something to the table that isn't nonsensical crap that we've heard for the past 25 years about how the world's ending and this, that, and the other. I don't know. That's just my opinion, but maybe you agree. I'll be back with another one soon.